And now to our first conversations. Well, talks about repatriation of funds still rocking the aviation industry, with Emirates Airlines planning to suspend all flights to Nigeria by September 1st due to $85 million of its revenue trapped in Nigeria. How would this impact foreign investment into the country? Let's talk to Gbemisola Alonge now, Senior Development Analyst with Stairs. Join us via Zoom. Great to have you. Good morning.
Hi, Laddie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Gbemi, it's been talks about this funds blocked. Some say the funds are not blocked. Some say that they have access to the funds. Gbemi, how are you seeing all of this?
They might have access to their own funds in Naira, but having to take the money out of the country has currently been difficult for airlines. And it's not just Emirates, like the total aviation industry, international airlines that operate in Nigeria currently can take out about $464 million out of Nigeria. And that's because of repatriation issues. But then, Nigeria is not the only country. So there are reports of about 20 countries basically being unable to help airlines take out their money across the world. So Nigeria is not the only country that's currently going through it. But I don't think it's accurate to say that these airlines can take out their money or they have access to their money, because they don't.
Quite interesting. And how do you think what does this mean for investors? Because, this is a time where we're looking for FDI into the country, and this is happening.
Yeah. So usually, like the way the airline industry and many other investors or investments would work is you bring in your money in your foreign currency, you exchange it for Naira through the banks or through the CBN or whichever financial operator you want to use. And then you get Naira, use Naira to run your business. In some cases, like in the airlines, you receive your earnings or your revenue in Naira. And then when it's time, after you've operated for a bit or after some time, you can take out your money net of taxes or working capital and all that out of the country. And then this is basically how they work. But then in a situation where you have you've done some business for some time, like in the airline situation, and you can't take your money out, for investors like Emirates, like their own response to that is to pause operations. Even before they pause, like most airlines have like a they have a policy where once you cannot access a certain amount of money, they already reduce the number of flights that they take in and out of the country. So that's what happens. First impact would be reduced operations in the country. What does that mean for Nigerians? That means less employment. That means just less business for Nigerians that need to fly. That means less flights and more expensive tickets. So basically, the impact of this is, even for investors, is a bad outlook, right? So it's one thing to tell the airlines that you can't take your money out, or it's another thing to tell them that you can take it out after a certain period. Right now, they don't even know when or if they can take their money out. And what's worse is, by the time they're collected, their revenue is currently in Naira. If they decide to take it after some time and the Naira has already been devalued after that, then they take less money than they were supposed to when they actually made the money. So it just shows it's a bit inconsistent. Businesses need to use this money. The airline industry has gone through a lot of issues from COVID, reduced flights and things like that. So they actually need this money now more than ever. And then not being able to take it prevents, it just causes poor planning, causes different issues that they currently cannot accommodate, because the airline has been through a lot of issues. So it's not a good look for Nigeria, especially from the investors' angle.
Yeah, quite interesting. And what about domestic airlines? How is this going to impact them? Because does it mean more business for them?
So for domestic airlines, they might actually be going through almost the same thing. Although they make money in Nigeria and they're domestic, some of them fly abroad, and they all need parts abroad. They need to pay for the aircrafts that they bought or they buy abroad, they need to pay. I mean, they've taken loans in foreign currency. They need to pay those loans as well. They need to buy jet fuel in dollars as well. So these issues are not only faced by the international airlines, but also by local airlines. So even though they're only flying within Nigeria, the fact that they need to sort of use foreign currency to access some things that they would need to operate their businesses as usual is also going to affect them. So even if airlines, if international airlines say they don't want to fly anymore, those domestic airlines that fly, or domestic carriers that fly internationally, would still need to pay for these things that the international airlines, some of the things that the international airlines would need to pay for in dollars. So that's an issue.
Right, everyone's feeling the FX issue at this point. But Gbemi, tell me, what's the way out of this?
So, like I said earlier, the issue really is the genesis of all this is banks don't have enough dollars. And when airlines need money, they don't go to CBN, they go to the banks. You go to your GT Bank or UBA or whatever, and you ask them for money. You show them proof of your revenue for the month or for the period, and then the banks go to the CBN during the FX auction, and they expect to get some money. Now, what has been happening for the past few years is, as at 2019, the CBN was buying way more dollars from the banks than the banks were buying from the CBN. So during the auction, banks would meet with the CBN and they would, I think in 2019, the CBN bought about $8 billion throughout the year from banks. Meanwhile, banks only bought like $5 billion from the CBN. So that means that there was enough FX liquidity for banks to sort of service their clients. But right now, because FDI and FPI, like foreign investment into the country, has declined, they don't have that much money. As of 2019, when they were able to sell $8 billion to CBN, inflow of foreign investment into Nigeria was up to 23 billion. Last year, this dropped to like 7 billion. This year, this Q1 of this year, we only did like $1.5 billion. So banks don't have that much liquidity, and they're now having to rely more on the CBN. And I get it, like the CBN also feels like it needs to protect the reserves and cannot give out that much, cannot give out as much FX as it would usually do. But then now is not the time to curb. Like, first thing that CBN will need to do is rise up to the occasion. Like, you can't ask banks to go and get dollars, because normally, like, the banks are not the ones that will bring in the foreign investments. All they can do is convince the investors that, they can help them safeguard their funds and things like that. They're not in the business of marketing Nigeria as an investment destination. So you can't, like, there's only so much the banks can do. So the CBN can step in now, provide some foreign exchange liquidity, continue to plug in the banking sector with FX. Another thing that the CBN can do is communicate. Like, yes, you want investors to take out their money in an orderly fashion, but let the investors know, let the banks know how much the CBN, because sometimes, like, the banks don't even know how much FX would be available until they actually go for the FX auctions. So let them know how much would be available. Let them communicate same to their clients. Let them tell their clients how much would be, so that these companies can plan. Because the main issue here for investors is just the inability for them to plan for their future. If I don't know when I can take my money out, I don't know if I'll be able to meet my debt obligation for that month. If I expect $10 million today and I don't get it, or if I expect $10 million this month because of revenue or because of my sales for the month and I don't get it, I need to be able to plan ahead. Like, if I know I'm not going to get it, I need to know that, okay, my debt servicing or working capital wouldn't be coming from this source, right? But then in Nigeria's case, like, these investors do not even know if they'll get their money, when they'll get their money, how they'll get their money. They just go through the normal channels, and then at the end of the month, the bank says, oh, they don't have enough FX and they need to ration what's available to them. So that's really impacting them. What the CBN can do is properly communicate. Like, this is how much FX we're going to be giving out. So if you have any plans to use dollars, make alternative arrangements. So I think that's another thing that the CBN can do right now. I mean, ultimately, we still need to find a way to bring in foreign exchange into the country. And that would go, that's almost beyond the purview of the CBN. The CBN can do a good job by ensuring that the financial sector is safe enough for investors to come and like they feel like they can rely on it. But then what's more is that they need to ensure that investors, the country needs to be a good investment destination for investors.
All right, Gbemi. Well, so much to unpack there. I hope these matters are solved as soon as possible. Thank you so much, Gbemi Sola Longe, Senior Development Analyst with STAIRS. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.